Anti-corruption training, how to spot and prevent bribery and corruption in your business. The learning objectives for this course: what is bribery and corruption, offenses, how to spot advantages that may constitute bribery or corruption, gifts and hospitality, the do's and don'ts checklist, and legal framework. Let's start by looking at what is bribery and corruption. Bribery is promising, offering, giving, requesting, soliciting, or accepting, whether directly or through a third party, any advantage to or from any person or company to induce or reward behavior that is illegal, unethical, or a breach of duty. What does advantage mean? Well, an advantage can be any kind of benefit, financial or otherwise, or anything of value or perceived value. For example, this includes any personal, commercial, contractual, or regulatory advantage, and can be for an individual or any person or company associated with them, but may not solely be in their interest or that of the company or person employing them or whom they represent. Remember, even if a bribe is of low value, if the intent is to improperly influence the recipient, it can still be a bribe. Likewise, even if a bribe is turned down or fails to have the intended effect, it is still a bribe. What is corruption? Corruption is the abuse of entrusted power for private gain. Any activity connected with a business, or any activity performed in the course of a person's employment. Bribery can be committed by an employee, an officer or director of ISG, or any other person performing services on behalf of ISG anywhere in the world, including contractors and agents. Let's look at bribery and corruption offenses. There are two main kinds of bribery: active bribery and passive bribery. Active bribery refers to paying or offering to pay a bribe, whereas passive bribery refers to receiving a bribe, favor, or other advantage. So are you the person doing the bribing, or are you the person receiving the bribing? Both are offenses. And this includes bribing a foreign public official or failing to prevent bribery. How can you spot advantages that may constitute bribery or corruption? Advantages may be financial or non-financial and may include money, loans, donations, including charitable donations, an award of business. It can also include contracts like employment or consultancy contracts. It can be preferential treatment. It can be gifts and hospitality, holidays, or any other advantage or benefit which is intended or perceived to be of value to the recipient or another person. Remember, all dealings with public officials or private individuals and enterprises must be open and transparent and conducted in a proper and appropriate way. This will ensure that no bribery or corruption takes place and will also avoid any appearance or suggestion of improper activity. Let's look at gifts and hospitality and what is acceptable and what's not. If it's bona fide hospitality and promotional expenditure that improves the company image, presents products or services, or establishes cordial relations with clients, it's acceptable. It is not considered a bribe. However, any gift, hospitality, or expense that seeks to influence the recipient into performing their function improperly is considered a bribe and is not acceptable. Here's a do's and don'ts checklist. Let's look at the do's first. Do read our company's anti-bribery policy. Make sure you understand the rules and know what to do. Do take particular care when offering or receiving gifts or hospitality. Make sure they are declared in the company's gift register. Be vigilant and watch out for red flags. Do conduct due diligence on all intermediaries and third parties before engagement. And do report concerns or wrongdoings as soon as possible. Now for the don'ts. Don't offer any gift or hospitality, which may be seen as an attempt to gain undue influence. Don't offer any gifts or hospitality during a tender, contract renewal, or to a foreign public official. Don't accept gifts or hospitality which exceed the company's thresholds. Don't use vouchers or discount coupons to circumvent rules. Don't make donations or sponsor events which may be perceived as hidden bribes. Remember that even charitable donations, if they're done inappropriately, can be considered a bribe. And don't overlook red flags just to get the deal done. What's the legal framework supporting the prevention of corruption? Well, in 1988, there was the Prevention of Corruption Act, which criminalized corruption in public and private sectors in the form of active and passive bribery, extortion, bribery of foreign officials, abuse of office, and money laundering. What are some of the key takeaways from this bill? It made bribing a punishable offense. It redefines provisions related to criminal misconduct. It makes mandatory for taking prior approval of relevant government or competent authority to conduct any investigation into offense. It modifies definitions and penalties for offenses related to taking bribes, being a habitual offender, and abetting an offense. In 2002, there was the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. The objective of this act was to prevent money laundering and to provide for confiscation of property derived from or involved in money laundering, and to punish those who commit the offense of money laundering. What is money laundering? Money laundering refers to the goal of a large number of criminal activities to generate profit for an individual or a group. It's the processing of these criminal proceeds to disguise their illegal origin. For example, illegal arms sales, smuggling, and other organized crime, like drug trafficking or prostitution rings, can generate huge amounts of money. But the money generated is tainted and is in the nature of so-called dirty money. Money laundering cleans the money. It is the process of conversion of such proceeds of crime, the dirty money, to make it appear as legitimate money. 3 years later, in 2005, we had the Right to Information Act. This is one of the country's most critical achievements in the fight against corruption in recent years. Under the provisions of the Act, any citizen may request information from a public authority, which is required to reply expeditiously or within 30 days. The Act also requires every public authority to computerize their records for wide dissemination and to proactively publish certain categories of information for easy citizen access. This act provides citizens with a mechanism to control public spending. What are some key takeaways for preventing corruption and bribery? Corruption is the abuse of entrusted power for private gain. Remember, that includes any activity connected with a business or any activity performed in the course of a person's employment. Bribery refers to promising, offering, giving, requesting, soliciting, or accepting, whether directly or through a third party, any advantage to or from any person or company to induce or reward behavior that is illegal, unethical, or a breach of duty. 3, advantages may be financial or non-financial, and could include the following: money, loans, donations, an award of business, employment or consultancy contracts, preferential treatment, gifts and hospitality, holidays, and more. Number 4, the Prevention of Corruption Act in 1988 criminalizes corruption in the public and private sectors in the form of active and passive bribery, extortion, bribery of foreign officials, abuse of office, and money laundering. 5, under the 2005 Right to Information Act, any citizen may request information from a public authority which is required to reply expeditiously or within 30 days. Now let's test your knowledge with a quiz. Bribery can be committed by who? An employee, an officer, any person performing services, or all of the above? All of the above. Which of the following falls under the category of not acceptable in terms of gifts and hospitality? A, bona fide hospitality and promotional expenditure. B, to improve our company image, present products or services, or establish cordial relationships with clients. C, any gift, hospitality, or expense that seeks to influence the recipient into performing their function improperly. Or D, none of the above. C, right? The key part of this answer is seeking to influence the recipient into performing their function improperly. It's not just to improve image, it's to seek a specific outcome that's improper. Which of the following is not considered an offense of bribery? Paying or offering to pay a bribe? Or turning down a bribe? Turning down a bribe is not considered an offense in bribery. Which of the following is a key takeaway from the Prevention of Corruption Act? A, it redefines provisions related to criminal misconduct. B, it makes mandatory for taking prior approval of relevant government or competent authority to conduct any investigation into offense. C, it modifies definitions and penalties for offenses related to taking bribes, being a habitual offender, and abetting offenses. Or D, all of the above. All of these are components of the Prevention of Corruption Act. The process of conversion of such proceeds of crime, the dirty money, to make it appear as legitimate money is called money laundering, bribing, corruption, or none of the above. Which act provides citizens with a mechanism to control public spending? The 1988 Prevention of Corruption Act, the 2002 Prevention of Money Laundering Act, the 2005 Right to Information Act, or none of the above? It was the first of these, the 1988 Prevention of Corruption Act, that provided a mechanism to control public spending. What are the advantages mentioned in bribery? In other words, what are some of the things used as bribes? Money, loans, holidays, or all of the above? All of these things can be used as bribes. Promising, offering, giving, requesting, soliciting, or accepting, whether directly or through a third party, any advantage to or from any person or company to induce or reward behavior that is illegal, unethical, or breach of duty is bribery, corruption, bribery and corruption, or none of the above. It's bribery and corruption. All dealings with public officials or private individuals and enterprises must be open and transparent and conducted in a proper and appropriate way. True or false? True. Which of the following refers to passive bribery? Paying or offering to pay a bribe, Receiving a bribe, favor, or other advantage, both A and B, or none of the above. Receiving a bribe is passive bribery. Active bribery is paying a bribe. But remember, both are illegal. Thank you.